Hello and welcome to Nemo's Views. As I've probably alluded to in previous vlogs, I am a bus driver in my day job, and I spend a lot of time out on the roads looking and observing the behaviour of other road users, motorists, pedestrians, etc. And what I've realised is that the driving licence system in the United Kingdom, in my opinion, needs a bit of an overhaul. Because what can happen is, on any given day, somebody can go and pass their driving test in. Now, I'm not going to single any particular car out. I'm only going to pick this car because it's particularly small. They could go out and pass the test in a Nissan Micra. They can go to do their thing, get the slip from the examiner. Congratulations, you've just passed your driving test. Happy days. You're never allowed to drive yourself home from your driving test, though. I'm not sure why, but you're not. So, because when I passed my test a million years ago, I had to hire the driving instructor's car for 3 hours. It was an hour to get to the test centre. It was an hour for the test and an hour for him to drive me back, which is fair enough. That's fine. But it strikes me that you could pass your test in a Nissan Micra, which is fine, be driven home by the instructor, and then, obviously funds allowing, get into a Bugatti Veyron or a Ferrari F50 or a Lamborghini Aventador, or insert insane hypercar here. You can literally, if you've got the money, of course, when you're sort of 17 or 18 years old, you're not going to be able to afford the insurance for an exotic hypercar, But if you had enough money, you could pass your test in said Nissan Micra, drive home, and within minutes be in a Bugatti Chiron or Veyron or something else, and be perfectly legal to drive around, as long as you could afford the insurance, which would be millions of pounds, I expect, for a 17-year-old or 18-year-old young man. Slightly cheaper for young ladies, but probably not by much. And this strikes me as being a bit retarded, because just because you can control and operate a Nissan Micra or a smart car or any other small car or any other family car doesn't necessarily mean that you're equipped to, I see equipped to deal with the power and speed and torque and everything of these exotic hypercars or these enormous four-wheel drive pickup trucks that are so prevalent on our streets, driven by usually morons. When I passed my driving test way back when, I had car entitlement, which was fine. That's what I wanted. But they also gave me 7.5 ton entitlement. So it's a cut, and I passed my. This is how long ago it was. I passed my test in a Datsun Cherry. That's how long ago it was. A Datsun Cherry. It's a nice car to drive, actually. It was all right. But then it's a case of, well, you can drive a Datsun Cherry. You did that all right for 40 minutes. Go out and drive an Iveco 7.5 tonner as well. Off you pop. Retarded. I mean, they've since changed the law so that if you pass in a car, you have to do a license upgrade. You have to take separate tests, etc. But I was given 7.5 ton entitlement, which, let's be honest, is retarded. There should be categories of driving licenses based on size. I mean, all too often I see people, I'm not going to single anybody out based on gender or anything else. All too often I see people with too much car and not enough brain. These enormous Audi Q7s or these ridiculous V8 Range Rovers, these enormous Mercs that are running around. There's too much of it, where there's too much car and not enough brain, and people don't have the intelligence or the capabilities or the talent to deal with such outrageous extremes of power. I mean, you pass your test in a Citroen C3 or a Ford Fiesta. That's fine. That's fine. It's nothing like an Audi Q7. Nothing at all like an Audi Q7. You think about the accelerator in an Audi Q7, and you're at warp 9. You're at warp 9 and you're scudding. You've got to do a bit of coaxing with a smaller family car like that. Think about the accelerator in a Q7 or one of these new Beamers. And I think the electric cars should have a separate category as well. I've got a friend who's got an electric, I think it's a Skoda. It was a very nondescript car. I'm pretty sure it's a Skoda. But the acceleration in this car is absolutely, it literally will push you back into the seat. It is that good. It is that impressive. It's instant acceleration. He said, have a look at this. And, he said, do you want to go? And I said, absolutely not. I said, absolutely not. Because if I'm going to be buying a brand new electric car, I want it for myself, not to replace one of yours that I've smashed. But the acceleration on these electric cars, this electric Skoda, was unbelievable. And these people can just buy one and they'll put their foot down, they'll think about the accelerator, and then they're scudding along at warp 9. It's unbelievable. I think we should have different categories based on, engine size, power output, like the motorcycle thing. You can't just go and, pass a test you can't just go out and buy a 1400 GSX or something. You have to do a different, I think it's a 125 and then maybe a 250. I may be wrong, but you can't just go and say, well, I want this this Hayabusa and I want to go along at 200 miles an hour. You can't do that. And I think we should be doing the same thing with cars, simply for that reason. I mean, it's all right having curtain airbags and front airbags and all these different safety features, but if you can't manage that power, if you don't have the talent or the ability, a lot of times you see people will simply outdrive their ability, and they're convinced that the safety features will protect them. And in a lot of cases they do, but they shouldn't be put in that position in the first place. And I think the police should be coming down a bit harder on these people as well. There should be a bit more enforcement, but that's a whole separate vlog for a separate day. But there definitely should be an update or overhaul on the driving license categories. It's all right saying, well, I've got a car license, so I can, I've bought an exotic hypercar. You need to build up. If you're 17, 18, your brains are not where they should be, and you're gonna drive it like you stole it, quite frankly. So, but that's just my view, my opinion. I know it's been a while since the last vlog, but things have been a bit strange in the UK recently, and you've got to be a bit more careful with what you say nowadays. So, with that being said, I want to be very careful with that. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.